The BMW GS range is arguably the established king of the hill when it comes to adventure touring bikes. No, I'm not forgetting KTM, but the GS legacy goes back over 40 years now, culminating in the R1250GS, which has a long history behind it, with the first BMW motorbikes turning their wheels in 1921. They have been at it for a while. Harley Davidson though goes back to 1903, and their first foray into the very popular adventure touring bike segment is aimed squarely at the top of the market with the 1250 Pan America, which has barely been around 40 weeks, never mind 40 years, but is already at the top of the US sales charts in the adventure touring bike segment. But is that just American nostalgia for the Harley Davidson brand, or does it really measure up to the Beamer? Hello and welcome to Moto Chatter. Let's dive into the details. Just one thing to point out before we get started: both the BMW R1250GS and the Harley Davidson Pan America come in essentially two model variants, a base version and a slightly higher spec, more off-road prepped version called the R1250GS Adventure in the BMW range and the Pan America Special in the Harley Davidson range. They have things like engine bar protection and spoked wheel options and start at around £1,500 in the UK, more than their base versions. In this video we will focus on these two higher spec models, but remember, if you're strictly an on-road rider, you could make a saving by going for the base model setups. As we can deduce from the names of both bikes are 1250s, the BMW is 1254cc to be exact, and the Harley is 1252. They are both twins and both have plenty of torque on tap. The R1250GS Adventure puts out 105 pound-foot of torque at 6,250 RPM from the boxer or flat twin engine, which is completely synonymous with BMW. Peak power is 136 horsepower at 7,750 RPM. The BMW motor is double overhead cam and has electronic fuel injection with a bore of 102.5mm and a stroke of 67mm with a compression ratio of 12.5 to 1. It has BMW's shift cam variable valve timing, which shifts the camshaft inside the engine to provide different cam profiles at both low and high revs, optimizing economy, control and performance depending on how you are using the engine at a given moment. The big GS has a hydraulic anti-hop clutch to deliver the power and torque to the 6-speed gearbox and uses a shaft final drive. The Pan America Special measures up very well, being the first bike to use Harley Davidson's new Revolution Max engine, also now seen in a new Sportster S. Check out my videos on the new Revolution Max engine and the Sportster S for a more detailed look at those. In the Pan America, the Revolution Max 60-degree V-twin motor is producing 94 pound-foot of torque at 6,750 RPM and achieves peak power of 150 horsepower at 8,750 RPM. It is also a double overhead cam engine with electronic fuel injection. It has a bore of 105mm and a stroke of 72mm. The compression ratio is 13.0 to 1. It also has variable valve timing to help broaden the torque and power curves, giving more usable torque low down and more top end power. It delivers its power to the 6-speed box via a wet 8-plate assist and slip clutch with a chain final drive. Both engines are Euro 5 compliant and for big bore twin engines are capable of good fuel consumption figures. The R1250GS Adventure can manage 49.5 mpg and has a 30 litre tank. The tank capacity on the base model is 20 litres. The Pan America Special comes in close at 46 mpg but has a 21.2 litre tank, the same as the base model Pan America. So the GS has a bit more torque, but the Pan America has more power. They are pretty close on fuel consumption, but the bigger tank on the GS Adventure will give it a range in excess of 380 miles, while the Pan America will be more like 250 miles. The R1250GS Adventure has a steel tubular frame which uses the engine as a stressed member. This is the same story with the Pan America. Using the engine as an integral part of the chassis helps save weight, keep the centre of gravity low, increases the rigidity of the chassis and should result in a better handling motorbike. The Harley's trellis frame is made from steel alloy, having a forged aluminium midsection. Both have aluminium swing arms, the BMW's being single-sided due to the shaft drive, while the Harley has a double-sided cast swing arm. The suspension setup is quite different. BMW used their telelever suspension, which has a single central spring monoshock on a lever system and 37mm stanchions up front. At the rear is BMW's power lever setup, which goes with the shaft drive and works in a similar way to double wishbone suspension on cars. The Pan America Special has more traditional 47mm shower big piston upside down telescopic forks up front and a balance-free cushion light rear monoshock. Both bikes are available with electronically adjustable suspension, but we will come back to that later. Suspension travel on the GS Adventure is 210mm front and 220mm rear. The Pan America Special is 190mm front and rear. The GS uses BMW's in-house brakes with twin radial 4-piston calipers on 305mm discs and a 2-piston caliper on a 276mm disc at the rear. The Pan America trusts its stopping power to Brembo with twin radial 4-piston monoblocks on 320mm discs and a single piston caliper on a 280mm disc on the rear wheel. Wheels on the GS Adventure are spoked, a 19-inch on the front and a 17-inch rear. The Pan America Special can come with the cast aluminium wheels of the base model, or as a factory supplied option there are aluminium cross-laced spokes wheels available. The spokes are side-laced into the rims. This allows for the use of tubeless tyres and for the servicing or replacement of a broken spoke without the need to remove the tyre from the wheel or the wheel from the bike. The Harley also has a 19-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear. Seat height on the R1250GS Adventure is between 890 to 910mm, but there are various low seat options available for the BMW down to 790mm. The Pan America Special does have the option of a factory installed adaptive ride height adjustment. Without that option, the maximum seat height is 850mm, and with the adaptive ride height it is 830mm, but can go as low as 772mm. The BMW weighs in at 268 kilograms wet with a full tank of fuel. It has a 30-litre tank, remember, so the fuel adds around 22 kilograms. The Harley Davidson is 254 kilograms ready to run, although Harley don't specify if that is with a full tank or not. I would guess not, so both bikes are going to weigh in at as near as makes not much difference in the real world, but it does seem the GS would be a handful of kilos heavier. If you are looking to go on a long expedition and load your bike up, the big GS Adventure is able to manage the most with a gross total weight of 485 kilograms, and the Pan America Special a bit less at 455 kilograms, around 30 kilograms less. So it would seem you could carry more on the GS, but without equivalent weight data it is hard to get an exact amount on the difference. Both bikes are very well equipped with technology. The R1250GS Adventure comes standard with a TFT dash with connectivity to connect it to your phone, full LED lighting, dynamic traction control, cornering ABS, hill start control and a USB charging socket, along with 3 rider modes: Eco for fuel saving and Rain and Road. If you want anything else you would have to spec it as an option, but these options include 4 more rider modes as part of the Ride Modes Pro package: Dynamic, Dynamic Pro, Enduro and Enduro Pro, and options to customize the modes along with Automated Hill Start Pro, Dynamic Brake Assist and Engine Brake Control. There is also an option for Dynamic ESA or Electric Semi-Active Suspension Adjustment with Auto Load Leveling and an Auto Damping mode. This changes the damping setting to optimize for the selected ride mode and works with various sensor inputs, and it can be configured by the rider too between soft, normal or hard, and whether it is just a rider on board or a passenger and or luggage on the bike. There are also options for rider and passenger heated seating with the BMW, with 5 levels for the rider and 2 for the passenger. The list of optional extras continues with keyless ride and heated grips as part of the comfort pack, adaptive headlights included in the optional lighting pack, and the touring pack, which adds cruise control and navigation preparation, along with the mountings for aluminium cases. Tyre pressure monitoring is also an option with the big GS. The Harley Davidson comes with more tech as standard. It has a 6.8-inch TFT dash which can connect to your phone via Bluetooth to control music and calls, and using the Harley Davidson app allows for on-screen turn-by-turn navigation. It also has a USB charging socket. It has cornering ABS and cornering traction control, and comes with 5 riding modes as standard: Sport, Road, Rain, Off-Road and Off-Road Plus. In addition, you can customize your mode for power delivery and engine braking. Also standard on the Harley is semi-active adaptive suspension. The system measures the suspension position, speed of travel, vertical acceleration, roll angle and rate, throttle and brake inputs, as well as the selected ride mode. It electronically adjusts the preload and damping settings. There are 5 program settings for the active suspension: comfort, balanced, sport, off-road soft and off-road firm. The system includes vehicle load control, which optimizes suspension sag by sensing the weight on the bike at a given moment and adjusts the rear preload accordingly. The semi-active suspension is standard on the Harley Davidson, but there is also a factory installed option for adaptive ride height, as mentioned before. This lowers the seat height when the bike is stationary to give more confidence and control with firmly planted feet on the ground. The Pan America comes with LED lighting depending on market regulations, and adaptive lighting comes as standard on the Pan America Special, using the 6-axis IMU to give relevant degrees of cornering lighting depending on the lean angle to light up those bends and curves. Heated grips, cruise control and a tyre pressure monitoring system also come as standard on the Pan America 1250 Special. The R1250GS Adventure comes with handguards, engine protection bars, as well as spoked wheels over the base R1250GS, and starts at £14,905 in the UK. It's $20,345 in the US, €20,480 in Spain, and $28,365 in Australia. As well as a number of tech features, the Harley Davidson 1250 Pan America Special has the engine bar protection, skid plate, handguards, center stand, no tool adjustable brake lever and a steering damper over the base Pan America, although the side lace spoked wheels are a factory installed option. The Pan America Special comes in at £15,500 in the UK, $19,999 in the US, €19,600 in Spain and $31,995 in Australia. So on the face of it, it looks comparable in price, but then you do have to remember that the Harley comes with a lot more tech as standard than the BMW. With a comparable level of tech options, the R1250GS Adventure increases in price to £18,435 in the UK. It is worth noting that at that price, with the way the BMW options packages work in the UK, that the Adventure would come with the luggage racks ready to take panniers and keyless ride too, so you do get a little bit more over the Pan America at this price. To get a truly comparable spec to the Pan America Special, you would have to add the spoked wheels to the Harley Davidson, which are a must if you are going off-road, and let's face it, they look the part too. This adds £400 to the Pan America Special in the UK, so a total of £15,900, still a significant saving of £2,500 over the R1250GS Adventure with a similar tech package. The other things to take into account are the colours, which if you want anything other than ice grey on the BMW or vivid black on the Harley, is going to push the price up another few £100, dollars or euros. Also worth taking into account is that the BMW gets a 3-year warranty, 1 year more than the Harley Davidson's 2-year warranty. The service interval for the BMW is 6,000 miles or 10,000 kilometers, and the Harley is 5,000 miles or 8,000 kilometers. Both bikes offer a range of luggage options, and BMW have introduced handlebar risers for the GS, which lift the bars 30mm, useful for taller riders, especially when standing for off-road riding. It is clear that for out and out bang for your buck, the Harley Davidson is a very strong option. Being significantly cheaper than the BMW with a comparable spec makes it a very tempting option, and is certainly one of the reasons it is the top selling bike in the US in the adventure touring segment. But BMW have been at this a good while now, over 40 years producing the GS in one form or another. They know this segment inside out and are happy to put an extra year's warranty on their machine, so you are getting more in some ways for that extra cash. I really like the redesign to the headlight on the GS, although the cruising light is a £60 option in the UK. The Harley Davidson has its own distinctive look, and for me looks like it's come straight out of a Mad Max movie, which I like. It looks like it will be much heavier than it actually is, and I initially dismissed it as a relevant competitor when it was first launched, but I think I was wrong. To know for sure, I would have to get the chance to throw a leg over one, and I look forward to that day as it measures up to the big GS very well on paper and deserves a second look. Obviously you can't go far wrong choosing the BMW, but for their first adventure tourer, Harley Davidson have aimed well and are definitely on target. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe for plenty more motorcycle videos each week. You can click links on screen for more on that new Harley Davidson Revolution Max V twin engine or on the Ducati Multistrada V4. But whatever you do, have a great day and thanks for watching.